With all the recent gold and silver volatility due solely to central bank price manipulation, I wanted to make this important video about happiness because a few years ago I would foolishly let the price of gold and silver dictate my happiness. If gold and silver were soaring, I would be ecstatic, but if banksters were slamming the price and I didn't happen to be shorting gold and silver at this time, then I would get depressed. I've seen far too many people let money dictate their happiness, and this simply is not the way to live one's life. So, in this video, I'm going to tell you everything I've learned from life about how to be happy. Step 1. Stop letting money dictate your happiness. I've met enough wealthy people that tell me they are much happier having just enough money to be comfortable versus having millions. Yes, we all need money to live, but money is just a means to buy things that only bring fleeting happiness. But money can never buy permanent happiness. Take the example of Bethany Hamilton, a top-ranked surfer from Hawaii who lost her arm to a tiger shark at age 13. She states that even if she could go back in time and have her arm back, that she would choose not to do so. The champ Mike Tyson has publicly stated that he's a lot happier today with just a fraction of the millions he had when he was heavyweight champion of the world. A lot of people will think Bethany and Iron Mike are not being honest with themselves when they say that, but I believe them 100%. So why did they say what they have said? Both Bethany and Iron Mike have answered if they had not lost those things, then they would not be the people they are today. And because they are truly happy with who they are today, that they wouldn't want to change the path of their suffering because they use their suffering as great learning experiences to become better people. Parents are too busy teaching their kids to be selfish, to study hard in school just so that they can have a bigger house and a better car than their neighbors. But what for? People never even think about why we are here. If people really think that their purpose is to earn as much money as possible, to buy as much stuff as they can before they die, they're completely missing the purpose of life. And that is why they seek happiness only in money. And because of this narrow focus on materialism, this is exactly why we have allowed greedy and soulless criminal banksters to rise to the top and put us all in debt. And it's the very reason the very soul of this earth is crumbling right now. There's no doubt in my mind that as a race, humanity has gotten dumber over time. Just look at the accomplishments from thousands of years ago. When we can't explain something, we simply just say that aliens built it. But that's a total cop-out. The Great Pyramid of Giza was a great accomplishment. Do you know there are 2.3 million stones in that pyramid? And that was built using the golden ratio and the mathematical equation of pi in its construction. And it was built with such precision that even modern stone cutting tools today could not cut blocks that fit together more closely. We can't understand how massive stones that weighed several tons each and sometimes upwards of 80 tons could be moved and placed every 2.5 minutes, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 20 straight years. We also can't understand how the blocks could be fitted with such precision that the space between many of the blocks in the Great Pyramid is only 0.5 millimeters wide, a feat that even modern architects today would be proud of. And because we can't understand this, again, we simply say, oh, aliens must have built it. Because if you go talk to the top architects in the world today, they said if they were given this project, they would not be able to complete it. So I don't think that humanity was a lot smarter thousands of years ago, because the Great Pyramids were built at least 4,500 years ago. And the crazy thing is, when the Great Pyramids were built, it stood as the highest monument in the entire world for 3,800 years. Imagine today some architect wanted to build a building. Do you really think it would last as the tallest structure in the world for another 4,000 years? That's how accomplished the creators of the Great Pyramid were. But the proof is right there, because we can't do it today even with all of our modern technology, and they were able to do this at least 4,500 years ago, maybe even 7, 8, 10,000 years ago. It's proof that they were smarter than us. So because their goal back then was not to own a Pagani or as much Prada as possible, you know, because they didn't waste their minds with 5 hours of Facebook, Instagram, Xbox, and internet every day and TV, they actually were able to use their brain, think, and expand their consciousness to figure out how to build things that baffle us today. So I have no doubt that very, very few people today, because we're so focused on materialism, discover their inner genius and figure out the real purpose of why they are here on earth. But if we went back to a time like the ancient civilizations had, when we're stripped away of all these distractions we have in life, I have no doubt that humanity would experience a massive shift in consciousness, and only a minority of humanity, instead of the majority of humanity today, would focus on materialism. And perhaps we could figure out how to build structures like the Great Pyramid today, and even greater structures. Step 2. Be positive all the time and stop hating on others. Positivity is a learned trait. So yes, you can learn how to be positive, even if you are someone that is typically negative. Have you ever realized that the biggest haters always seem to have misfortune in their lives? This is not a coincidence. This is simply due to the law of attraction. Negative people attract negativity into their lives, and positive people attract positive things into their lives. So the next time something negative happens in your life, give it the attention it deserves immediately, but deal with it and immediately forget about it and be positive again. I guarantee you that if you learn to do this, you will start noticing more and more positive things happening in your life. What you thought to be impossible will become possible almost overnight. And stop being jealous of others that may have things you want. Just because someone has a nice ride, a nice house, they may be the happiest person in the world, but they also might be the most miserable person in the world too. So stop hating on people simply because they have more than you. You will never find your path in life if you hate on other people's successes. The key to attracting success is to be grateful for the things you already have. It's a simple concept, but one that not too many people live by. If you do something as simple as just giving thanks for what you have and giving blessings for the things that are going to come in your life, and if you do this maybe like 30 times a day, just try it. Say it 30 times a day. It's a simple thing that takes you 10 seconds to say. And if you say this for a couple of days, I guarantee you'll see a change that will start to happen. It will start to happen in your constitution, the actual neurological synapses that are in your body. You'll start becoming a more positive person. So the moment you consistently give blessings for what you already have, the more abundance will start pouring into your life. You know, the way you look at it, nobody has a perfect life. So you think that the person with the huge house and nice rides has a perfect life, but everyone has struggles. The people that remain grateful through their struggles overcome their struggles quickly and attract more abundance into their life. However, the people that let themselves become invaded by negativity during their struggles continue to dwell in misery. And that is the major difference. Step 3. Be happy in the work you do. If you're not happy in the work you do, you're not doing the right job, period. Ask yourself, is what I'm doing ultimately making others' lives better? Everyone should be engaged in work where the mission of your work is to make other people's lives better. If you have to lie on a frequent basis as part of your work, stop. If you have to take advantage of others as part of your work, stop. Some people watch documentaries about factory workers in China that work 16 hours a day and perform the same simple task hour after hour, day after day, and state, "Thank God I'm not that person." But even if you work in a comfortable, spacious office, but you're trapped in a job where you're expected to work 12 hours a day, you don't have time to go to the bathroom or properly eat because you're so busy, guess what? You are that exploited Chinese factory worker. Just because you're not working in a factory doing manual labor does not mean you're not a slave. It does not mean you're not being exploited and pounded into an unthinking robot. Think about it. If you're proud because you work for some prestigious firm, but the firm's schedule dictates when you eat, when you can go to the bathroom, when you can see your friends, what time you return home, what time you can go to sleep at night, and what time you have to return in the morning, then you're no different than someone told these exact same things by a prison guard in a maximum security prison. If this describes your corporate life, I guarantee you that there are people in jail right now that are probably freer than you are, because your prison is your own mind. Step 4. Be kind all the time. The true test of character is how you treat people in your life that you may not know, and how you treat them when things in your life are not so great. It's easy to be kind to people that are kind to you, and it's easy to be kind to others when everything in your life is great. But what if you didn't get that promotion you wanted? What if your income is falling? Can you still be kind during times like these? I'm not saying you have to be a saint to people that are horrible to you, but start by doing something nice for strangers or people you hardly know. Two things that still stick in my mind are two super nice acts committed by people I hardly knew when I used to live in Japan. Once on my birthday, I was having dinner with my coworkers, and that was at a time I had only been there for about 2 weeks. A girl that was a friend of one of my coworkers came to my birthday dinner, said hello, promptly disappeared, and returned about 10 minutes later with a huge bouquet of flowers for me. I've always remembered that because at the time I was having a bit of difficulty adjusting to an entirely new culture, and her random act of kindness immediately made me feel much more at home than I had felt during my first couple of weeks there. Secondly, when I was still living there, one time I was completely lost when trying to find my way to meet a friend, so I stopped in a 7-Eleven and asked one of the employees for directions. Not only did this employee give me directions, but she actually walked with me for 10 minutes to show me the way to my destination. So to this day, I will still do kind things for people that look lost, or for people I just met that I don't even know too well, simply because I remember the kindness that those strangers showed me when I felt lost in their country. So do something kind for a stranger this week, and most times, if your kindness is not returned to you, it will certainly be passed on to others as well. Step 5. Stop ignorantly worshiping people as if they are gods, including presidents, prime ministers, corporation heads, or celebrities. Have you ever heard of someone aggressively protect the reputation of a famous person that they have never met in their lives, never spent a single minute in their physical presence, yet they will protect this person's reputation as if that person were their mother or father? If you know someone that acts like this, tell them to stop, because they are mentally sick and their mental sickness is interfering with their happiness. When things are not going well in our lives, many of us tend to cling to someone, whether that person is a celebrity or the president or the prime minister, to be their savior. This thinking stops your evolution as a human being. Instead of taking personal responsibility for our own happiness, we tend to place all our cards in the hands of the singular person that we come to revere as a god. Famous people are rarely the same as their public persona. For example, many Germans cried when Hitler died because they thought he was a great guy because of his department of propaganda, and they did not know what the outside world knew about him. Many modern leaders have the same propaganda machine working overtime for them today. And the opposite of this is true as well. Many people the media paint as menacing people may be super nice. Just watch the documentary Tyson about former heavyweight champ Mike Tyson and tell me that does not change your opinion about him. When you revere someone like a god and put your hopes and dreams in a stranger, you are choosing to enslave yourself, and you will never be free. How many of you have seen people hugging and crying when some politician gets elected, like this person is Jesus Christ and is going to bring them salvation? Centering your hopes in the false image of some person produced by some PR machine is the opposite of personal responsibility and freedom. All of us need to take responsibility for our own happiness, for our own freedom. And if we think someone else can do that for us, we are consciously choosing to doom ourselves to a life of misery. Even if that person you revere is your mom or dad, you will still stop evolving as a human being. There's a huge difference between revere and respect. Always, always respect your parents as long as they treat you right. But don't revere them like a god. Everyone has flaws. People today attach a religious-like fervor about to famous people. You have to figure out, even from the things your parents teach you, what is the truth. Some parents teach their kids to hate people that don't look like them. If you're someone that accepts something as truth just because your parents teach it to you, you will not evolve. Life can be beautiful every day if you want it that way, but you, not your parents, not the president, not some celebrity, have to create this life of beauty that you want. Life is about opportunity. People wait around for opportunities, but but you have to create your own opportunities instead of depending on some false savior to hand it to you. Step 6. To be happy, stop focusing on the differences among us and start focusing on our similarities. The media is the most guilty of this because they pollute our thinking as well with this rubbish. When terrorists hit Bali in 2002 in America, a lot of the US media focused on only the 7 Americans that died in that terrorist attack. If you didn't look beyond American media, you may have wrongly thought that only 7 people died in that terrorist attack. Back then, as the story was breaking, I checked international websites. I was shocked to learn that 88 Australians, 38 Indonesians, 27 Brits, and more than 200 people died in that attack because the first American reports I heard focused only on the 7 Americans that had died, as if the American deaths were the only ones that counted. Unfortunately, I see this mentality all the time. Because I'm Korean, I have Koreans tell me I should be helping out the Korean community more than any other community. Why should I help out Koreans that I don't even know any more than I should help out Ukrainians, Brazilians, Samoans, or Germans that I don't know? Furthermore, when I've been living in Japan, I've been told I should help out Japanese. When I've been in America, I'm told I should help out Americans. If I'm in Mexico, I should help out Mexicans. And if I'm in Canada, I should help out Canadians. And on and on and on. And many people incredibly think that this kind of narrow-minded thinking is correct. It is exactly this kind of mentality that makes war easier to swallow and to rationalize for most people. If we're Americans, we mourn when 2 children die in New York, but most of us feel nothing when our government accidentally drops a bomb on the wrong house in Pakistan and kills a dozen Pakistani children that are innocent. When we start valuing the lives of people that live in our country as more valuable than the lives of people in other countries, it is this mentality that allows us to accept immoral wars. Think about this. How angry would you be if 500,000 children in your country were murdered during war? Now answer this. How angry were you that 500,000 children in Iraq died during the Iraqi war? If you answer not at all, then you really need to reconsider the way you think immediately. Step 7. To be happy, stop buying into tradition for the sake of tradition. Stop, think, and ask yourself if the traditions you follow makes any sense at all. There are plenty of traditions that everyone blindly accepted back in the day that today people think are idiotic. Why? Because nobody was courageous enough to question these traditions at a time when they were widely accepted. I'll give you one example. The Chinese used to bind little girls' feet because they thought tiny deformed feet were beautiful in women. But ask a Chinese girl what she thinks of that today, even though that was tradition, and she'll tell you that's effed up. But I guarantee you that this was still widely accepted today. If this was still widely accepted today as normal, nobody would tell you that it was messed up. Everyone would think something was wrong with you if you told them binding a baby's girl feet was messed up. And there are tons of traditions like that today. I'm talking about tons. If you do something just because 1 million people, I don't even care if 1 billion people did it before you, because it was tradition, without asking why you are doing it, then you are still stuck in prison, though you may think you are free. Because your mind is not free at all. And your mind has a worse fate that if your mind is locked up, that's a worse fate than being physically locked up. Look at how many people stupidly hand over 3 months of their salary for a diamond rock every time they get married because somebody told them that to show your everlasting love to a woman, you must spend 3 months of your salary on a diamond. If this diamond was really a symbol of everlasting love and was worth 3 months of your hard-earned salary, then why do 50% of marriages eventually end up in divorce? But if you knew your history about diamond rings, you would know that no one ever used to spend about more than $80 on an engagement ring when diamonds became popular as an engagement ring in America, and that no one else in the world but Americans would give diamond rings as an engagement gift. But then, a banking family called the Rothschilds took over the diamond industry, jacked up prices, monopolized enormous supplies of diamonds, and told you and everyone in the world that you should give them 3 months of your salary for a little tiny rock. And so you did. But only because you didn't know what I just told you. You failed to ask why you were doing this. You only did it because millions of people before you have done it. So keeping to this tradition is as stupid as me taking over the peanut butter business, limiting supply to the world to a few hundred jars per year, and demanding that all peanut butter lovers pay me 5 months of their salary for a single jar of peanut butter. It really is this stupid. Step 8. Find your mission in life. Whether you believe it or not, everyone's soul is immortal. That means the time we spend on earth compared to infinity is a very short period of time. So if you are bored, or you know people that are bored, then something is wrong with them. I guarantee you, if you ask someone that parties every single night or plays video games for 5 hours every day how happy they are, you will find that they are very unhappy. If you think that your purpose in life is to party every day or just to play video games until your mind goes numb, then that is a sad, sad life. People only engage in such escapism because they are bored. And why are they bored? They are bored because they're engaging in one of the behaviors I've discussed in this video that leads to misery. Either they hate their work but continue to go to the same job every day, or they're constantly hating on people and dwelling in so much negativity that they can't help but attract more negative things into their lives. Have you ever known someone that talks so much smack about someone and says, man, I can't stand this person. I really can't stand this and that about this person. Or this person did this to me. I can't believe that, this person will actually do such a thing. And then the next week, when you're out to dinner, you see this person hanging out with that very same person he or she just talked a whole bunch of smack about. So what is that about? So of course, if you hang out with negative people, you will continue to be unhappy. And even worse, people meet great people all the time, people that are positive people doing positive things, but never ever follow up. So instead of just telling someone, man, I just met the greatest person yesterday, and then never hanging out with that person again, call up one of those people today. You also attract positive things into your life by hanging out with positive people that teach you how to be positive. Ask yourself in everything you do, am I making other people's lives better? If the answer is no to anything you are doing, then you need to reprogram yourself. You see, there's a huge difference between hating and telling the truth. When you tell the truth about things like tradition, some people might mistake you for hating, will ask, why are you hating on diamonds? Or why are you hating on this tradition? Actually, you're just trying to free their minds. Hating, to me, is when you're hating on people that are doing positive things and engaged in positive work. But when you're revealing the scams of people that are deceiving and lying, that is not hating. That's merely telling the truth. So everything you do should reflect the consequences you desire for yourself and your family. If you're in an industry that causes poverty and misery for others, like banking, because that banking operates on a false system and a false paradigm designed only to steal and transfer wealth from billions of people to a few people, then you have to ask yourself, is what I'm doing to others, is this the life that I want for myself and my family? If you're a president and you're dropping bombs in areas that you know can kill innocent civilians, but you decide to go ahead and do this anyway, you have to ask yourself, would you want someone else to do this to you and your family? If you're a scientist and helping build weapons of mass destruction that you know will spread misery to hundreds of thousands or even millions of people, you have to ask yourself, why am I not using my knowledge to create instead of to destroy? If you're a cop or a soldier and your actions cause people to protest you, then you have to ask yourself, am I really promoting freedom and serving others as my creed says? Or am I being used by evil people to suppress and control others? Everything every one of us does should create a better world and a better future. But far too many of us revere people solely for the positions they hold in society and solely for how much money they make instead of for what kind of world and future they are creating. Think about this. It has been proven over and over again that there is more than enough food in this world to feed every single one of the 7 billion people that live on this planet. Then why do nearly 50% of the world have to dwell in poverty-like conditions? Why do billions go to bed hungry every single night? The answer is that too many people work for industries that destroy, like banking and weapons manufacturing, and they've rationalized that it's okay to themselves, rather than devoting their lives to creating better lives for other people. We have to get away from the what's in it for me, short-sightedness and selfishness, and realize that we're all connected, every single one of us. So if you're a world leader deciding to drop bombs in other areas of the world that kill 10 innocent children, the opposite and equal reaction, the laws of physics, will say that this will bring someone to your country dropping a bomb and killing 10 innocent children in your country. You have to realize this. This is how negativity breeds more negativity and destruction breeds more destruction. If you work in banking and your company's foreclosed on thousands of people and forced them out of their homes, when revolution comes to your country, who do you think is going to be forced out of their homes? I guarantee you that one of the reasons some people that are filthy rich are also miserable is because they have gained their wealth at the misery of others. When you are rich in material wealth but empty in spiritual wealth, you will be miserable. I guarantee you that. It's certainly possible to be rich in material wealth and also rich in spiritual wealth. And this is the paradigm that we should all seek to fulfill. Also, we need to stop thinking that all people that have abundance in their lives are taking abundance away from others. This simply is not true. There's truly enough abundance in this world for everyone if we can all spread positivity. If you think bad people cannot be turned, it is true that there's some sociopaths that can never be turned simply because they feel no guilt about the evil things they do. People that fit in this category like Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan, Lloyd Blankfein of Goldman Sachs, and many others. However, most people are not like this and will be a force for good if shown the way. This is why it's important to always talk about these issues and to always speak up. In Spain, at the end of 2012, several thousand Spanish policemen took to the streets in Madrid on the side of the people to protest banking imposition after working for the bankers and trying to impose austerity measures against the people. In fact, they carry signs that stated, "Forgive us for not arresting those truly responsible for this crisis, bankers and politicians." So use your brain, people. The internal combustion engine was invented in 1884. Since then, we've invented the personal computer, airplanes that can take us to lands tens of thousands of kilometers away, better computers, the internet, rockets that can go to Mars, the space shuttle, iPads, iPods. And you really think that there still is not a better engine that exists than the internal combustion engine? How naive do we all have to be to believe this? And do we think that there really is no better system than our current monetary system that steals wealth from billions and transfers it to just a select few at the top of this pyramid scheme? The fact that fractional reserve banking system allows a few families to have a monopoly on money creation in every single country of this world and create money out of thin air of their own volition against the people's will is mere madness and insanity. Central banking is a communist concept to control people, by the way, and is the antithesis of a free market and capitalism. So why do such terrible systems persist? They persist because millions of us today fail to ask ourselves a very simple question. Is what I'm doing today eventually going to make people's lives better or people's lives worse? If we all asked ourselves this simple question, millions of us would abandon destructive industries and use our collective intellect to start creating a kinder, much more humanitarian society that values and encourages brilliance of every individual right now, instead of suppressing this intellect for the control of a few over 7 billion of us. Surround yourself with people you want to aspire to be like, and get rid of the people in your life that you don't want to be like. It really is that simple. This small action alone will immediately bring more positive things into your life. Obviously, with the great economic tragedy that's happening all over the world now in terms of misery, scarcity of not having basic needs like food and shelter, the thinking of the masses is terribly wrong. If you find that your way of thinking is just like everyone else's, then this is a clear indication that you need to reprogram your way of thinking in order to truly be happy in the present and in the future. I'm going to conclude this video by reading a passage from a novel I wrote several years back called The Staggering Depths of Blissfulness. And if you'd like to purchase it, you can do so at www.lulu.com. It is amazingly blue here. The sky and the ocean possess hues of serene, confident blues that will calm even the most troubled of minds. We stand on the shoreline, Josefina, Molina, and I, the water lapping at our feet. There is not a single boat in the ocean or a single plane in the sky. I find it odd in America how everyone fills their homes with technology and then goes on vacation to escape it all. Maybe if everyone simplified his or her life, they would all find a lot more peace. If everyone in New York got rid of their televisions and met at a designated watering hole every night just to chat about the day's events, what would life be like? If New York bars more closely resembled Umberto's patio at night, where intellect abounds, pretentiousness is non-existent, and attraction occurs for all the right reasons, would life not be more rich, more rewarding? Life in simple places has an intoxicating purity, a proper apothecary mix that cannot be found in bustling cities. There is no stronger reaffirmation of life than the delicate balance of beauty and tragedy that simple places offer. One of life's oddities is that there is always an underlying current of pain that quietly simmers beneath the surface of all that is beautiful. But from pain often comes faith and love of unyielding magnitude. That concludes my passage. The reason I read that is because, a lot of that book I wrote about was a search for happiness in the main characters of my novel. And the way they find happiness in that novel is the way I think to find happiness in real life as well, which is to get back to our basics, to search our consciousness, and to stop trying to avoid our problems by buying lots of materialistic things and burying ourselves in materialistic wealth and thinking that will bring us sustainable happiness, because it will not. So if you enjoyed this video and got anything out of it, please do remember to comment below, and please do spread this video with all your friends as well. Thanks a lot for watching. Until next time. So long.